Good evening, I'm 13 WAM forecaster Briana Walker.
Well, it was a very windy day across western New York today. We saw lots of downed trees, some power outages across western New York. Even some Halloween decorations were damaged. I know we're getting closer to the season. Bree, can you tell us about a little more why this happened today?
Well, the reason for the very strong winds that came through Rochester earlier today came from a cold front that passed through western New York earlier on today. And as you take a look at this map here, there actually were wind advisories that are still in effect for western New York through at least 11 p.m. this evening. Closer to home here in Rochester, we could see, and we did see, gusts nearing 50 miles per hour. But as you head southwest of Rochester, just south of Buffalo, they actually saw wind gusts nearing 60 miles per hour. And from that, in those areas, we actually did have a couple local storm reports. For example, at the Buffalo airport, they clocked in a wind gust at 59 miles per hour. And south of Buffalo, down in South Wales, they actually had down power lines and even some power outages. So these winds actually did cause some damage. But luckily, throughout the night, we will see the winds diminish, but the temperatures will also drop as well. I'll have the answer to just how cool the temperatures. And good news, this Sunday, the clocks go back 1 hour. What does that mean for you? An extra hour of sleep. It starts getting brighter earlier, because hey, who doesn't want an extra hour of sleep? As we take a look at the high temperatures for the next 7 days, as you take a look for Friday, we do start out rather chilly with a high of only 49 degrees, but we rebound quite nicely through at least Monday into Tuesday. And as we head into late next week, we could actually see records being broken as we approach the 70s. And for those of you that have not had an opportunity yet to get outside and see the beautiful fall colors, this weekend is the best time to do it because we're still at 70 to 80% of peak. Some of us, so down in the southern tier and even up towards the Adirondacks, are currently past peak, but we're lucky enough to have at least a couple more weeks that we can get outside and see those beautiful colors. But currently in Rochester right now, still on the quiet side, which will be the continuing trend through at least the early evening hours. So currently in Rochester, we're at 48 degrees. Dew point's starting to increase a little bit, but winds are still on the lighter side, but that will change as well. It will be an issue we will be battling in addition to the more moderate heavy rainfall for tomorrow, as those are expected to increase as well. And taking a look at our weather spotters, they're still calling in temperatures hanging on to those 50s. So ironically, you're still at 50 degrees. Much of western New York and our weather spotters are still seeing those 50 degrees, which we will gradually dip into the 40s for this evening. Neighborhood forecast depicts that pretty well as well. So tomorrow when you're heading out the door for work, we will gradually increase to the 50s, then into the mid-50s by tomorrow afternoon. And then tomorrow as you're heading home from work, we will see low to mid-60s for much of the area tomorrow. And in addition to the rain that I noted earlier, the winds will also be an issue. So tonight, as of 3 o'clock in the morning tonight, Futurecast already has gusts nearing 30 miles an hour for much of the area. And that will be also continuing tomorrow and through tomorrow morning. And by tomorrow afternoon, some areas, especially around the higher terrain south of Rochester, they could see gusts nearing 50 miles an hour. So Geneseo, they're clocking in a 46 mile an hour Futurecast wind gust. So it will be a pretty windy day tomorrow in addition to rainy for much of western New York. And Futurecast, as of tonight, still on the quiet side, but clouds will gradually filter into western New York. And through tomorrow and into tomorrow evening, that is when Futurecast starts to have that widespread moderate to heavy precipitation in Rochester through tomorrow evening. And behind that, as you take a look off the west, once that rain makes its way across western New York, cool air will then be brought into western New York with the wind still sticking around for Thursday afternoon. But Thursday around 1:30 in the afternoon, that is when cool air will filter into western New York with those winds sticking around as well. But for the remainder of this evening, we will be around 50 degrees for at least the early evening hours. And then as we head into 9 o'clock and into 11, as we head later into the evening, that is when temperatures will continue dropping into the upper 40s and then gradually bottoming out into the mid 40s for much of the area. But the clouds will also gradually increase as well for at least the start of this evening. So for the overnight hours, rain will eventually develop later on this evening after midnight, so around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. That is when we will start to see that rain developing from south to north with a temperature of around 45 degrees, winds also increasing, and that will continue into tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, expecting a temperature of around 51 degrees. Occasional rain through much of the day. We're not expecting it to be a complete washout. We will be on the mild side with the wind still picking up, and tomorrow afternoon we can see temperatures finally gradually get into the low to mid 60s. So tomorrow afternoon, temperature of 63 degrees. Windy at times though, with gusts nearing 40 miles per hour in addition to that rain. But taking a look at the rest of the extended forecast, so we are expecting those strong gusty winds to last Wednesday into Thursday, with winds possibly even getting a little bit stronger for Thursday. But as we head into Friday, that is when we will start to see a dip in the temperatures with that cool air being filtered into western New York. But taking a look at the rest of the weekend, though, for the trick-or-treaters heading out Saturday for Halloween, we are going to be on the cool side, but it will be dry. So you definitely won't need the raincoat for Saturday as the kids go out trick-or-treating. But as you head into Sunday, that is our next chance for pre